and it's in your notes, that God can't stand complaining. God cannot stand complaining. God hates complaining. He can't stand it. He hates it. And if there was ever a group in Scripture that was known for their ability to complain, it was God's chosen people, the Israelites, the Jewish nation, and boy, could they complain. And they had it bad at one time. They were slaves in Egypt, you may recall. If you don't know the story, the Egyptians took them as slaves for over 400 years. They would beat them and whip them. They annihilated the male children so that way their nation couldn't grow too strong. They were forced to make bricks. And God miraculously delivered them because they were praying, saying, God, will you deliver us? And God sent a man named Moses. And Moses came, and 10 plagues came of frogs and boils and water turning to blood and a death angel. And God miraculously set them free from the bondages of slavery. He leads them to the Red Sea. He parts the Red Sea. They go through the Red Sea. They're heading to the promised land. All along, their clothes don't wear out, and God is providing food for them. And yet, look what we see in Numbers chapter 11, verse 1. It says, now the people began complaining openly before the Lord. The people began complaining. They start complaining about the hardships that they're having. Oh, it's so hot here in the desert, and oh, this just is not the life that I want. They're complaining. And it says, when the Lord heard, his anger burned. His anger started to burn. And the fire from the Lord blazed among them and consumed the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. Now, this is hardcore. They start complaining, and God gets angry. So angry, he sets part of their camp on fire. And as this fire is going through, people start calling out, and they're asking Moses. Moses prays, and the fire dies down. You know, our complaining offends God. Our complaining offends God. God hates complaining. He doesn't like it when we're complaining about our masks or complaining about the person that we sit next to in class. God does not like our complaining. God doesn't like it. You know what he does in your notes? God takes complaining personally. He takes it personally. And we see here that God punishes the Israelites for their complaints, and fire breaks out. We've been talking about that each week now, how the tongue is like a fire, and how our tongue can light a fire, and we see this very literally here, that they're complaining, and God's anger comes, and fire breaks out. And after all that God had done, after all he had delivered them from, after all he had saved them from, after all he had provided for them, they still complained. And no sooner had the smoke cleared from this fire that broke out in the camp, no sooner had the smoke cleared than the people of Israel began complaining again. They started complaining again. This time, they're complaining about the food. Look what it says in Numbers chapter 11, verse 4. It says, the riffraff among them had a strong craving for other food. They're complaining about food. Have you ever heard a complaint about food before? I mean, you're trying to figure out where to go out to eat with your friends. Oh, I don't want to go there. Maybe you have kids. If you do, you probably always hear complaining about food. Well, I like that. I don't like this. I mean, that's what's going on here, except multiply that by millions of people. And so they're complaining. The riffraff had a strong craving for other food. And the Israelites wept again and said, who will feed us meat? We want meat. We remember the free fish in Egypt. Like, come on, the free fish where you were slaves? Those free fish? Oh, is that what you're talking about? We remember the free fish we ate in Egypt, along with the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and onions and garlic. Oh man, wasn't slavery great? Like, wasn't that just the best back when we were slaves? Oh, we had all the onions and the garlic we could ever want. But now our appetite is gone. There's nothing to look at but this manna. Manna, what's manna? What's manna? All we have is this manna. It says that the manna resembled coriander seed, and its appearance was like that of bdellium. Now, this was a food that God divinely provided for the nation of Israel. He would provide this for them each and every day, and they could go out and gather it. It said the people walked around and gathered it. They ground it on a pair of grinding stones, or they crushed it in a mortar, then boiled it in a cooking pot and shaped it into cakes. And listen to this. It says it tasted like a pastry cooked with the finest of oil. All I can imagine is Krispy Kreme donuts, right? I mean, that's probably what this stuff tasted like. And yes, they had to eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I don't know. I mean, Krispy Kreme donuts would be pretty good for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If God provided it, it had all the nutrients they could ever want. And here they are. They're complaining. It's hard enough for us to please people at mealtimes. Imagine what God was facing as he's providing food each and every day. And they're crying out saying, we want to go back and be slaves. We want the fish and garlic of Egypt. And it was all free. It was all free. They start complaining against the very one who blessed them. God brought provision, and they complained about it. God was supernaturally providing for them, and all they could do was complain. And Moses gets so depressed. He gets so depressed, he asks God to kill him. He's like, God, I can't take their complaining anymore. I would rather die than hear one more complaint. Maybe you felt something like that before in your life. I would rather die, God. I can't take it. I can't take it. Just kill me right now. Kill me right now. Kill me right now. And after all that God had done for them, all they could do was complain. And they're complaining about the supernatural provision of God. Did you know in your notes that all of our complaining is ultimately directed at God? All of our complaining is ultimately directed at him, because essentially what we're saying is, God, I'm not satisfied with your provision. I'm not satisfied with the circumstances of my life. I'm not content with where you have me. I want more. I want more. I need more. I want what I deserve. I want what's coming to me. Are we satisfied with God? Are we satisfied with the provision that God has given us, or are we always wanting more? Are we complaining because we don't have what someone else has? Are we complaining because of the circumstances in our life, failing to realize that God is in control of it all?